First of all, Beijing is signaling that they do want to talk. I think that needs to be clear. However, the experience in dealing with Trump is not to make easy concessions. I think that, first of all, they think that this is somewhat of a blackmail to have singled out China at this point. And that they have to make the U.S. companies feel it as well. U.S. suppliers feel with tariffs to bring the Americans back to negotiation table. For example, the first Trump war, agricultural products, soybeans, 25%. That led to a lot of resistance from U.S. agricultural states, and that eventually led to the phase one deal. So they think that more concessions leads to more demand, and at this point, they want to do equivalent force measure so that both sides will feel the pain.
Keyu, do you think that China's response so far, which has been retaliatory, right, including firing back with the tariffs of their own, including restricting exports and supply of critical minerals, do you think that was the right thing for the leadership to do? And I ask because behind the scenes there are reports, even in Chinese social media, as I'm sure you well know, there are some people in think tanks who think that maybe China jumped the gun and shouldn't have done that. What are your thoughts?
Look, it's very hard at this stage, given the popular sentiment, the emotional aspects of the situation, to not appear to be strong in this case. I also think that it is tactical. It's not just a random, kind of one tit for tat response. They are trying to target exactly where it hurts in the U.S., and that's their bargaining chip, right? When they go on to the negotiation, they have to be in a position of strength. So I don't think it is completely used for popular support and so forth, but also look at the exemptions on both sides. They are selectively doing that and also imposing tariffs to maximize their own benefit or protection. China raises high tariffs on the chips that they want to domestically substitute away, but leaves no tariffs for the ones that they really need. U.S. protect Apple exemptions and so forth. So I think that, they should be, it is a carefully thought process at this point.
Okay, future or further policy response from China. Can you talk to us about what you're expecting? We've had a guest earlier on this morning telling us that he is expecting authorities to allow the renminbi to depreciate by 10% within the next 6 months from where we are now. That's one thing. A, do you see that happening? Or B, do you see them weaponizing their holdings of U.S. Treasuries? Or C, in terms of domestic stimulus, do you expect them to ramp that up? We had data out over the weekend about bank credit, so I guess that is sounds, at least on the surface, positive.
Well, depreciation of the RMB is a very tricky thing, right? Because it also symbolizes the weakness or the economic strength and weakness of the Chinese economy. So I think they'll be very reluctant to use that as a tool. And also the downward, the space in which it can adjust is very limited. Although the first time around it did depreciate 10% to offset most of the tariffs, I don't think that's the main strategy. Also, the financial weaponization in the sense of selling treasuries, that's already, of course, happening. It could be potentially a bargaining chip. But most importantly, the eyes have focused domestically. The Trump tariffs have been a compelling force to stimulate aggressively, to subsidize strategically, and to pivot tactically. And look, China's final answer to resolve all this, the deeper answers, longer term answers, you've got to raise domestic demand, because it's no longer going to be just with the U.S., this international tension of excess capacity. It's going to be with everyone else. So they have to boost demand and at the same time think about restraining supply.